Hi guys, back again. So this is video number 3 for the day. You sick of me yet? It'll take me forever to upload them, so I might not even upload all of them today. But, so video number 3 is a thrift book haul. Yay! I haven't been able to do thrift books for quite a while because, you know, when Christmas time came, we were really trying to hold back on buying anything except for presents for the boys. And having 4 boys, sometimes that just bites right into your budget. I did get probably bigger than I should have of a thrift book haul this time. And I found out that I have to really pay attention to what I'm doing because I ended up with 2 of the same books because I put in 2 different orders. On Thriftbooks, if you spend $50, then you get a percentage off coupon. So I only do $50 at a time if I'm doing anything over that. Then I put it in a separate order, which is what I did. One order went over 50, so then I had to start a separate order. And somehow I put this book on both orders. Not sure how I did that. So this book is called The Mabbit. Okay, here we go. So I've been a Sister of Avalon for over a year now. And the Mabinogion is a very famous book over in Wales. It has all kinds of little tales in it, and they take a lot of their Celtic, traditions is based out of the stories of the book. And I have a couple different copies and a couple different translations because it's very old. This is a translation that was done geared towards children, which I am starting. I have started buying pagany kind of books for my grandchildren. I don't know, maybe 5-6 years ago. I don't have grandchildren yet, and I'm not pushing to have them. It's okay, boys. But I like kids' books. So there. So this is kind of in children's style. And because if you try to read, I have to say, if you try to read the Mabinogion, it is, it's a little confusing. Some of the stories are really, first of all, I love all the stories. I love all the stories. But it takes a little bit to follow it back and forth because it originally, I think, was in a different language because it was not started out in this, in English. I think it takes a little bit to get it. So I'm kind of hoping that when I read the children's book version, some of it will click in and I'll totally get it. Like some of the stories in here, you guys, you will know. Rhiannon and the Magic Stallion. So it talks about a lot of the goddesses that you know. Branwen in Ireland. There's one, I swear there's one about Ludwed in here. Ludwed. Anyways, so I was really excited to get this book. Now I have 2, but it's okay. I think I paid like, $3-4 a piece, so it's all right. Now I have 2. I got a Raymond Buckland book, an older book, The Secrets of Gypsy Fortune Telling. It talks about crystals, it talks about crystal balls, it talks about dice, dominoes, tea leaves, fire reading, sticks and stones, knives and needles, all kinds of gypsy fortune telling methods. And, when we got our camper and we started talking about refurbishing it, and that's what I want to do with it, is make it into a gypsy caravan. I really got into the gypsy culture and reading about the gypsy culture. And so Raymond Buckland has a couple books that are in that vein. And this is one of the older books, but it's in great shape. So, I only paid a couple bucks for it. And I was sad to lose him. What was it, last year or the year before? It wasn't too long ago. Someone on Instagram started me out on this trip, by the way, I have to say, was showing their collection of Cassandra Eason books, who has a lot of other books, but has a whole line of the complete blah 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 book. And I was admiring her complete blah 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 books. And so I ended up getting 2 of them. One is a complete guide to night magic. Let the moon be your guide. Night is a time of limitless potential, when the barriers between our world and other dimensions fade, when natural healing energies are at their height, and when sleep and dreams provide a window to our true selves. So it's like has contacting the dark angels. It's got, so the contents, if I can get there. This was published in 2002, I think. Yep. Contents is beginning night magic, psychic protection magic at night, moon power, the starry universe, the power of winter. Ooh, I'm going to have to read that because I'm sick of winter already. Dark angels, dreams and astral travel, dark places in nature, creatures of the night, the other world of night, returning to the light. And then it's got appendices for dream symbolism, deities of the night, angels of the night, and winter. So, I thought this was really an interesting book to have, and I'm excited to add it. The other one is complete guide to labyrinths, which I really started getting into. I think I did, maybe not. I meant to do a video. I swear I talked about labyrinths in a video. I actually found a labyrinth in my area that a woman made very personally when her husband committed suicide. And she made it as a gift to him and as kind of a guide for her healing. And she said it really helped her to, to lay the groundwork and then lay out, weed killing coverings, put the dirt on, then find certain stone, and then go out and look for big stones. And she has a beautiful labyrinth in my area, and did it as a healing technique for her, and wrote an article about it. And she did it quite a while ago, and I got in touch with her. I wasn't sure, if she was still there, and she invited me to come and see it, which I plan on doing this spring. I have to write her again because it's been a while. I just got crazy busy. It was around the beginning of fall when I found this book. So anyways, that was a long aside, sorry. So this book is a universal symbol of transformation. The labyrinth was created in ancient times to represent humankind's search for the core of divinity. Unlike a maze, which may have a confusion of tracks leading in all directions, the labyrinth has a single winding pathway that spirals inwards toward the center. And there's some labyrinths that are made to walk with another person, and some labyrinths you can walk by yourself, and it's really supposed to be a prayer, a healing technique on transforming yourself. So I was really interested to see what she says about, obviously she's going to talk about all the different kinds of labyrinths. And they're ancient. There's some labyrinths that they believe have been there for thousands of years. There's several different kinds. So I am excited to read that one. Fire of the Goddess, The 9 Paths to Ignite the Sacred Feminine. This is by Catalin Coda. And I have been doing sacred feminine work for years now. And anything that has to do with that, I really am like a sponge with that. I kind of suck in as many different authors as I can to try to learn from different people. I think different people's ideas on sacred feminine is important to lift up no matter what. The Ninefold Journey, Triple Goddess, My Own Path to the Sacred Feminine, so she talks about her walk. In the table of contents, it's all kinds of chapters on awakening your power. I did form a women's circle that lasted for a little while. We just kind of disbanded recently because I don't think they were in the same place I was, and I was kind of teaching, and they really wanted a social thing, which is awesome. I still meet with them sometimes, but that's not what I was looking for. So this one is God, Goddess, Exploring and Celebrating the Two Sides of Wiccan Deity. And this is by A.J. Drew and Patricia Telesco, which I have several of her books. So this one talks about, the play between God and Goddess in Wiccan culture, which I don't consider myself to be a Wiccan, but a lot of my belief systems are very similar to that of what a Wicca would believe. So I liked that it talks about the divine in both senses, in the God sense and in the Goddess sense, because I'm trying to balance myself a little more. I think I've said before, when I first started on this path, I really rejected the idea of a God figure, that masculine energy figure. I think because that's what you grow up with, that's what I grew up with in the Catholic Church, is all about the masculine deity. And so I was ready for a break. So now I'm kind of starting to balance back in about, 10 years in. I finally have gotten to the point where I can kind of pull some of that energy back in. This is an old vintage book called The Dark World of Witches. And I love getting my vintage occult books. This is by Eric Maple, and it's a 1962 book. Talks a lot about witchcraft and the history of witchcraft, the witch hunts that were in England. And so, just another book to add to my collection of vintage witch books, which I love. Circle of Isis, Ancient Egyptian Magic for Modern Witches. And this one's by Ellen Cannon Reed. I like her a lot. This is very much a book that I've been looking for a while. It talks about the specific path of the ancient Egyptians. I really like the path of the Egyptians, and I've pulled a lot of their goddesses into my work. This talks about songs for the deities, rituals for ancient gods and goddesses, information about hieroglyphs, 2 new forms of divination, how to make incenses and oils from ancient Egypt, information and recipes for an ancient Egyptian feast, sources for statuary, the best sites to visit on the web, instructions for creation of a wand, nemesis, kilt, and sistrum, and much more. So, I just thought this was going to be great. I really enjoy reading about the the Egyptian deities. This book, Witchcraft Today, this book, I have to say, this was a hard book for me to get. Now, I try to be a very open-minded person, and I don't know why I have this feeling. Okay, so the first pagan person that I met in person, like I had found people online when I first became a pagan. The first person, though, that I met in person and connected with enough to really sit down and talk to was a Gardnerian, meaning he very strictly took his path from Gerald Gardner, who many people say is the creator of the New Age movement, the modern New Age movement. I don't know why I have such a bias against him. So this is partly because I feel like to be a good pagan, you have to have this book, because it is very much where the New Age philosophies came from. A lot of his writings and teachings are where a lot of our writings and teachings kind of stem from. So I am glad that it's there, and I definitely, want to study what he thought. I will say, as an aside though, I really get the heebie-jeebies from him. Like, I feel like he was just a perverted, ugly guy who wanted to figure out how he could have sex with a lot of women. And I'm sure that's not totally true. But I bet you there's a little truth in there. Maybe I'm wrong. You guys can crucify me if you want. That's okay. That's just my impression. Okay, moving on. So that is the first gardener book I have ever gotten, I have to say, because I wasn't really interested in it before. And I'll be honest, I'm probably not going to study it in depth, because I just get a feeling from him. But anyways, this is one of my favorite books that I was waiting for, the Complete Herbs Source Book. A to Z Guide of Herbs to Cure Your Everyday Ailments. I have lots of herbal books. This one, I really liked this one a lot. Talks about the different, starts from different areas of the body. So ear, nose, throat, and eyes. So what herbs will help with stuff for that? Ear infections. What herbs should you use for ear infections? The nose, colds, influenza, sinusitis, hay fever. What so it goes through the different areas, the different systems, the reproductive system, the urinary system, the digestive system. I really appreciate, this is by David Hoffman, who he trained as a medicinal herbalist. And president of the American Herbalist Guild, director of California School of Herbal Studies. So I knew that I could trust what he was saying. So I really went this haul with a lot of historic books that I really felt I needed in my collection. So Raymond Buckland, this is another Raymond Buckland book. This is The Tree, the complete book of Saxon witchcraft. I love Buckland. I love his books. He's very matter of fact. He tells you the history about stuff. I like the way he writes. He just writes in a very easy, informative way. He doesn't put a lot of emotion in it. Maybe that's because, the male perspective, a lot of times this is the facts. But I really wanted to have this book in my library. So it is here. And it has been a book that's been on my wish list for quite a while, so I am glad it's here. Speaking of history, the pagan religions of ancient British Isles and their nature and legacy. This is a Ronald Hutton book. He has written a lot of books about pagan history, especially the British pagan history. I believe I have one about sacred sites, I think, by him. Which reminds me, where are the other ones? I have a couple other ones I'm not seeing. But definitely a book that I wanted to have in my library. He is very kind of writes as the history of what this is. To be honest, I know he's a doctorate or something. Historian. He was educated at Cambridge, then Oxford. He held a fellowship at Magdalen College. He moved to the University of Bristol, and he's a reader in British history. So he really goes into in depth. He has some videos kind kind of like documentary type videos on YouTube that I've watched that are super good too. Hold on one second. Okay. So a couple more. We're almost there, 20 minutes. Whew. I know my videos tend to ramble on. Sorry, guys. Okay, so I have talked about before, I love Thich Nhat Hanh. He is, he lives in the Plum Village community. As far as I know, the last thing I've heard about him is that he has been in kind of like a coma-like state for at least a year, I want to say. It's probably more than that. So I don't think he's going to be writing very much anymore. But he talks about that, the idea of being in the present moment, like Eckhart Tolle, like a lot of people do. He talks about walking meditation. He has a great series about walking meditations. He is very much about peaceful meditation and how to go through life in a peaceful manner. This book has been on my wish list for a while. Planting Seeds, Practicing Mindfulness with Children. So that's his mantra, is to be mindful. If we're mindful about everything that we do, he believes, being a Buddhist monk, that that we'll make better choices in life if we're mindful about all of our choices. So this book is about teaching children how to be mindful in everything you do. And again, partly because I have been growing my children's library forever, and partly because I love him and I love the way he writes, and I think if you can learn how to teach it to children or otherwise, then you learn it. So this book is all about how to teach mindfulness, and it's every area of life. It's how mindfulness can help. Practicing with children in Plum Village. So he talks about his experiences with children. Cultivating our own mindfulness. Mindful breathing and listening to the bell. I am free meditation. Strengthening connections to each other and to the earth. Understanding and compassion. He talks about compassion all the time. One of my favorite things he talked about, he was on Oprah talking about being in love, in compassionate love with your beloved. He said, you know, if you are with someone and you call them my beloved, then that means something. That, you know, that means something more than, hey, how you doing? If you take the time to listen to, say, when your beloved wants to talk to you, say, I'm here, I'm listening, my beloved. That sets a tone that is a different kind of tone. Love this man. Cooperative games and enjoying nature. So he really, mindful eating. Pebble meditation. Walking meditation. So it's really a lot about how to teach children mindfulness. And it came with the CD, which has meditations on it, specifically built for children. And the fact that I got this at Thriftbooks, and I think I paid maybe $4 for something, and it literally comes with the CD. I'm so excited. That is awesome. So, yippee. Loving that book. Through the Labyrinth. So yet another Labyrinth book. This is, The Truth About How Women Become Leaders. Okay, so this is a little different, but this is by Alice H. Eagly, E-A-G-L-Y, and Linda Carley. And this is really a book about female empowerment. So again, another sacred feminine kind of book. Is there still a glass ceiling? Where are the women leaders? Are men natural leaders? Do family responsibilities hold women back? Is discrimination still a problem? So they look at a lot of the things going on in our time today. That was a good good one. A couple more. Sacred Places of Goddess, 108 Destinations. And there is some place listed in every continent. So it takes places that you wouldn't necessarily think were about the goddess, and tells you where you can go to see a representation of a goddess, you know, in your area or in your country at least. So when of course I looked up New York, and the first place it talks about is the Statue of Liberty, which was based on the goddess Liberté. And it's so funny to me that so many people, that's the first thing they see is this goddess when coming into our country. And our idiot president right now would probably shit himself if he realized that. Anyways, I'm going to try not to get political here. So this is a great book. It's by Karen Tate. And again, it's just something to look up for me if I'm going on a vacation, or, you know, if I want to plan a vacation where I can specifically seek out places that you wouldn't necessarily think of to look for the goddess. One more, and then one more quick, easy one. This one is by A.J. Drew also, which I brought the other ones downstairs, but he did another one that we just looked at. This is A Wiccan Formula and Herbal. So this book has been on my list for a long time. Again, this is very in-depth with plants and their lore. Formulary, it has a specific formulary for masculine plants, feminine plants, oils, how to make different oils, emulk oil. So here we go, emulk is coming. 8 drops of frankincense, 6 drops of rosemary, 2 drops of cinnamon, and a half a cup of base oil. Making soap, omit the cinnamon oil. Soap recipes, Libra bath, Aquarius bath, Aries bath, Cancer, Leo. Leo is 3 parts juniper berries, 2 parts lavage. This is a great herbal because it's specifically made for the pagan path. So a lot of the stuff that I look for has already been researched for me. One last one. I finally got the other half of the year of Rupert's Tales. If you have children and you are a pagan, I hope you get these books. They are broken up into, this set is broken up into 2 books, one for each half of the year, and it goes through Rupert, the little bunny, goes through, he learns about each Sabbath as it comes up. This one is for Beltane, Litha, Lammas, and Mabon. And then the other book that I have starts with Samhain and goes through Emulk, goes through Ostara. And they are just the cutest little stories. So this was one that Rupert has other books. So the author is, I have no idea how to say it, Kyrja. Kyrja. And they are just adorable. They have little, I'm trying to find, at least the other one does. I haven't really seen this one very much. They have little things, I think it's at the beginning or at the end, how to talk to your children about each Sabbath, what you can say to them. But it goes through, this is Rupert's first Beltane. And these gorgeous bright pictures. And it goes through a story with little Rupert, and he comes upon these pagan people celebrating. And this is what it means to them. And this owl comes along. It's this whole lesson, really, that is through story. And so each Sabbath has a different story. And they're very in-depth and informative and so cute. So cute. So, I know my battery's too low to use the flash. I don't care. So, each one, here's Rupert's longest day. So, that would be Letha. And just, you know, really awesome books for the kids. to learn about the pagan holidays. So I highly recommend them. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I realize it's a half-hour book, sorry. I will have a couple other videos up this week. Tomorrow, I have postponed our wands again because I just have not had the time to study enough to really teach it to you guys. Tomorrow night, I will be doing a live video for the study of wands. We're on the four of wands. So tune in tomorrow night if you're interested in the study of wands. And blessings. Love you.